friend, welcome back to my kitchen. If you're new here, my name is Jen and I do cooking and canning recipes and sometimes I post garden content. If that seems like the sort of thing that you'd be into, I hope that you'll consider subscribing and sticking around. Today we have a really quick and delicious dinner idea for you. We're going to be making shrimp coconut curry. Now you can pull this together in under 30 minutes. And the hardest part of this recipe is just chopping your onions, your garlic, and your ginger. Now, if you want to take a shortcut, you can use garlic and you can buy the pre-minced ginger, and that will really shave down some of the prep time on this meal. But for me, I wasn't in a hurry, so I went ahead and just chopped it all up myself. If you're new here, I always double my recipes. I have a really large family, so what you see me cooking is not the amounts that I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you the measurements for a individual recipe and I'll list them below like I always do. You're going to start with a pound of large or extra large shrimp. You can peel and devein them yourself, but just to save some time, I just bought the already peeled type and gave them a good wash after they thawed. Now, we're going to go ahead and season our shrimp so they can be marinating in the refrigerator while we're working on the rest of our curry. To this, I added a half a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of black pepper, and a half a teaspoon of cayenne powder. Now, normally I don't give you measurements for salt and pepper. I'm just giving you loosely based measurements. Please season these to taste. For example, if you're not really into spicy food, you may want to omit this cayenne powder and just use paprika in its place. You'll still get the really nice color and you'll still get some flavor on your shrimp without the extra added heat. And the last thing I'm going to add is some lemon juice. You could substitute lime juice. If you have fresh, by all means use that. But you're going to want to add 2 tablespoons of either lemon or lime juice to the shrimp. When you pull your shrimp out of the fridge in a little bit, do not be alarmed if your shrimp already starts to look like it's turning pink. It's just from the acid from the lemon or the lime juice. It's not actually cooked. It's just a reaction, like when you make ceviche. It will be a much stronger reaction if you're using fresh lemons or fresh limes, but don't worry, it's perfectly fine. So just go ahead and cover your bowl and stick it in the fridge, and we're going to move on to the curry sauce. Now, in a large pan, I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of coconut oil. I find that coconut oil works really well for this because later we're going to add coconut milk. But if you don't have or don't like coconut oil, feel free to substitute it with another neutral oil. That works perfectly fine. Once your oil is melted and comes up to temperature, go ahead and add your onions to it and saute them around the pan to make sure everything is coated in a little bit of that coconut oil. You want to keep this on kind of medium heat. And we're not going for brown here. We're just going to let these onions go until they start to turn translucent around the edges. And they'll finish cooking the rest of the way once we add our sauce. When you can sort of see through the edges of your onions and they're starting to turn clear, this is when you'll add your garlic and your ginger. You want to move this garlic and ginger around the pan so that the garlic doesn't burn. Burnt garlic is very bitter and it is not pleasant at all, so just keep an eye on it. And if you have any onion skins like I do, pick those out. And then when you can smell the garlic and the ginger, it's nice and fragrant, we're going to go ahead and add our spices. Now, I'm adding a lot because, like I said, I am doubling or tripling this recipe, but here's what you'll need. This is a half a teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of turmeric, 2 teaspoons of ground coriander, a teaspoon of curry powder, and you're going to add all of that in and then just move it around the pan to warm up your spices. They may stick to the bottom of your pan a little bit. Adjust your heat if you need to, but it's not the biggest deal as long as it's not burning. When we add our liquids, all of that that's stuck to the bottom will come up and it'll be fine. When you can smell those spices and they start to kind of punch you in the nose, you're going to go ahead and get a 14-ounce can of diced tomatoes and add that in with the liquid. Then give it a really good stir. This will help your spices from sticking to the bottom of the pan any more than they already are, and sort of get everything incorporated before we move on to the next ingredient. And the last thing you'll need for your curry sauce is a 13-ounce can of coconut milk. Now, when you're buying coconut milk, they do offer a reduced fat version. I suggest that you go with the full fat coconut milk. I particularly like this brand because some of the cheaper brands just do not have much of that coconut cream that you usually find either at the top or the bottom of the can. So just spend the extra dollar and get this brand. I'm not sponsored. I spent my own money on this. I just really enjoy the amount of coconut cream that this company puts in the can. But if you're on a dietary restriction and you need the reduced fat version, it's fine. It'll still be delicious. It doesn't even matter. So give that a really good stir. Break up those big chunks of coconut cream and then increase your temperature just a little bit above medium and let this come up to a simmer for about 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, you're going to add your shrimp that you had in the refrigerator and make sure you add all of the juices that the shrimp was sitting in. Now from here, it's only going to take a couple of minutes. Once this comes back up to a simmer, this shrimp will cook in about 2 or 3 minutes. So just keep an eye on it. When your shrimp turns pink and starts to curl up, it is done. Now you can serve this however you like. Some people really enjoy this with flatbread. My family enjoys it with rice. So right before I started dinner, I started a big batch of jasmine rice in my Instant Pot so it would be done about the same time as my curry. But that is it. This was really delicious. If you like spicy food, I definitely recommend keeping the cayenne powder in there. This was not really a mouth hot. This was like, I feel it kicking me in the back of the throat hot, but it was manageable. Even my son, who really doesn't care for spicy food at all, ate his whole bowl. So I definitely recommend at least adding a little bit of that cayenne powder for some kick. Now, I garnished this with some cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, you can garnish this with parsley. And if you don't like parsley, you don't have to garnish it with anything at all. It's still going to be amazing, even without the flourish. So I definitely hope that you give this recipe a try. Who can say no to a dinner that takes less than half an hour to pull together and looks like and tastes like you took all day to make it? If you give this recipe a try, please come back and leave me a comment and let me know what you thought about it. Until next time, friends, happy cooking.